So everyone shout with me, long live the I Hotel.
Long live the I Hotel.
A little bit louder, long live the I Hotel.
Long live the I Hotel.
77. I went to, right after the eviction, I went to Hong Kong. And I decided, because after 2 years at Princeton Seminary, I needed some, you can't just pray and study, you need to integrate it with some action, right? So I joined this program of the Methodists, and I went overseas, and I couldn't believe what I saw. I saw a lot of poverty, and I saw a lot of evictions, right after the I Hotel eviction. So anyway, the reason why I'm bringing it up is because my old friend, who was my roommate, Steve Unruh, I just saw him this past week, and he came by and he goes, "Hey, how you doing, Mr. Hope and Despair?" and because I lived with him, and we shared and prayed a lot, I kept saying that was my theology. I almost forgot. That was like my key theme. It was like, you know, I'm tired of churches just praying on that. You know, our hope has to be shared in the midst of despair, in poverty, in housing. And I bragged about our church. I said, like, our church, we don't just pray, man, we act. We build housing. We fought for the I Hotel. I remember being part of that. How many of you were around back then? Anyway, back in the days. Okay, all right, okay. Well, you know, there was so much stuff that we wanted to do. We were part of, and this is the confession part, but Brad, it's okay, right, Brad? We can go back to the old days. Brad and I and a few others had the privilege of working with a younger congregation in the evening, right, Eddie? And we did some stuff back then that was questionable. Let me explain. Okay, it's not too bad, right? This being recorded? Okay. Okay. You know, when you're young and enthusiastic, you're willing to do anything, right? You take risks, right? We gotta serve the homeless. We gotta, you know, build, you know. If not for the young folks in the evening, you may not have had so much church involvement in mainland Union. We had great leadership with Cindy Joe and Reverend Chuck and that, but the youth were there protesting. We were protesting. We were not scared to protest. You rulers of Sodom, you know, that's the passage today. That's powerful stuff. Here we have the church just yelling at the leaders, you know, you're doing it wrong. It's like me saying today, which I probably will say, maybe our mayor is wrong in pushing policies against the homeless. The Trans Bay Terminal, they just evicted. I met with a coalition on homelessness this Wednesday, and they were there talking to 100 of the homeless that have been living there for a long time. What do we do with the homeless in the city? Anyway, back to the evening. I'm going to jump all over because I got to get all this stuff in. So us evening young folks, and like you got to picture us back in the late 70s or early 80s, and we were kind of willing to try a lot of things. So there was this homeless guy. Let's see who remembers this. Is Scott here? You? Okay, you remember? There's this homeless guy. What was his name? Anybody? Nestor, right? Okay, African American dude, you know, and you know, older guy, and you know, he was homeless. What do we do? So, okay, I couldn't hide him in the church basement because probably the buildings and ground committee would kill me. I couldn't put him inside Cameron's because Harry Chuck would kill me. You know, so we preached, but in my heart I wanted to help the homeless. We all did, right? So what did we do? What did we do? We got creative. Bruce, you know, Tarina, I'm glad you're back there. And you weren't around back then, lucky. So we had this van, the Cameron House van. So we just stuck him in there. Huh? Welcome to our church van, homeless guy, right on. We felt good. It was great. And so Nestor, being the great guy and appreciative homeless guy that he was, he goes, "I'm going to cook you a meal." Anybody remember that? Terry, you remember that? So I didn't know he was half mentally, you know, a little bit, you know, you can't tell right off the bat. But, you know, our heart was in a good place. We had our young folks, and we wanted, the homeless Sunday, we want to do it all, right? So he grabbed fish heads from all over Chinatown. I don't know where they've been or whatever. Garbage can. Put some tomato sauce in there, and we boiled it, and we were supposed to eat it. Okay, raise your hand if you ate it. I think I licked it, and then I went to the restroom and washed my mouth out. But anyway, you know, this is Homeless Sunday. I'm so proud that the General Assembly of the Presbyterian Church, you know, advocates for this. I'm on the Presbyterian Network to End Homelessness, so the national network. And we're kind of, these are challenging times, but also creative times for churches. We're going to try to outreach to the 150 congregations in the Presbyterian churches that have a homeless or affordable housing ministry of some sort. In the Presbyterian booklet, which on homelessness, our story is there. What did we do to address homelessness and affordable housing? Can someone just say it real quickly, besides Cindy Joe? Mayland Union. Our church fought for Mayland Union, and that housing project is ours. We've got to take care of it. If we lose Section 8 funding, God forbid, we have to find a way to subsidize those tenants. That is beautiful, long-term, affordable housing, and it's our pride and joy of doing something for homeless folks. But is it enough? Some person I will not name, who is part of my Urban Institute class on housing in Chinatown CDC. So we're trying to teach young folks about the housing movement. And they were so proud of what the Presbyterian Church did back in the 80s. What did they do now? It was an innocent question. What are we doing now to help the homeless? I didn't answer that question. You have to. Pastor Elliott is going to help you and all of us to answer that question. What are we going to do? I have a suggestion that will probably get me in trouble, but it's okay. I think Pastor Elliott still will love me anyway, right? Okay. Here's the issue. Cut to the chase, cause of time. This is a tough one. There's a proposition that just got labeled on Thursday. It's called Proposition M. And it used to be called the Sit-Lie Ordinance. Anyone know about Sit-Lie? So from 7 in the morning to 11 at night, you cannot sit or lie on any sidewalk in San Francisco. That is going before us in November for a vote. It's there. They're calling it civil sidewalks. The religious witness for homeless people that I'm a part of, and we met Wednesday with the Coalition on Homeless, and the Coalition on Homelessness asked the churches to please get involved, because this thing will pass, because businesses don't want folks lying in front. But they also want the moral community to say, there's something wrong with this. There is something wrong with it. I mean, okay, so you got a law in San Francisco. If you don't know about homeless stuff, you better learn. You can't sleep in the park from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Okay, then you can't sleep on the sidewalks or sit there from 7 a.m. to 11. So from 8 p.m. to 11, you got to be walking around, whatever. The homeless folks say to me, what is this? This is getting too crazy. And there are existing laws on the books already to deal with anybody who's obnoxious and obstructionist. This law, to me, is like how Isaiah feels. You rulers, Solomon. Now, to appreciate Isaiah, he's a city boy. He's a Jerusalem guy. Been there most of his life, preaching there, being prophetic. He had access to those high up, like prophets did. So he probably had a pretty good family. For him to say, you rulers of Sodom and Gomorrah, that's a big deal. It's like, what kind of city do we have? I really appreciate the prophetic message in the Bible because it balances out the constitutive and community building stuff we got. You got to do both. All right? You guys go to Westminster Woods, think deep. All right? Any of you going, or you guys probably packing? But anyway, the stuff that we're about is deep spiritual stuff. But it's stuff that not just going through the motions, it's an integration of spiritual values and worldly values. And they impact each other. Our faith has to impact our world. Thy kingdom come. And that's what I'm proud of our church most of the time. I mean, this is part percentage, we can do a little more. But I'm proud of it a lot, especially when I talk to others. Faith in action is the bottom line. What did we just sing? My God, you do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with God. They all go together. I met this guy, Bill Valentine, and he was in North Beach. And he's sitting outside in front of my office. And he's a native born San Franciscan. We were talking about the Giants, hanging out. And then he goes, hey, Norm, I need some help. I'm got no place to live. And I go, you got no place to live? Yeah, I went to Glide, but you gotta line up, and then once they close up shop, shelters are sometimes empty, like they say in the radio, but there's reasons why. The system is not very well organized. So even though we have 1,038 shelter beds, there's 2,700 on the street. So you do the math. I mean, we cannot house everybody. Sometimes the mayor might say, oh, we have plenty of beds, but the homeless don't want to come in there. Are you going to buy that? I know Cindy Joe won't. Anyway, sorry, Cindy, I always pick on you because you're my motto of being a prophet, loud mouth and all. Okay, anyway. Which is good. I mean, it's good. You know, calls it the way it is. So today I've got a little bit of your spirit in this sermon, but I think it's there. It's right there in Isaiah. So don't give me all your offerings, your burnt offerings and prayers. They don't mean a thing. If you're not integrating your faith in daily action, forget it. I don't want it, God says. I don't want it. So think about our ministry. Think about where we're going to go. We already have the seeds of great housing ministry, and that's probably the #1 issue in Chinatown. Even our work with the SRO families, they are considered homeless. And the majority of families homeless in San Francisco are living here in Chinatown, which surprised everybody, in these single rooms. So we have an important ministry to do with the SRO families. There are some creative ministries going on. I met this person named April and Reverend Prouser. They run does anyone know about the homeless church in San Francisco? So what they do is every morning, like this morning, across from the ferry building, there's a plaza there. So they just invite the homeless there to worship God. Of course they get food too. So sometimes they get up to 500 people. There's no building or anything, it's just a plaza. I hope this new law doesn't impact them, because they're not supposed to be sitting or lying in the sidewalk. But anyway, that ministry is pretty good. Guerneville asked them this week to go out there to do the same thing, so they tried it once, and they got donations of food from all over. There are so many creative things we could do better than what we did with Nestor. Maylin Yun, I mean, I got so many stories. There's so many. And I'm proud of what we've done and attempted. I think we can do better. I think we need to do better. I think we have an opportunity this November to be a witness and a voice for justice. Not just praying for the homeless, but doing it. And it's hard for me to end my service so short because I have like 10 other points to make. Okay, one more quick. Who was around in the 80s when our church got involved with the Cambridge? Anyone remember the Cambridge? Gilbert, of course. Gilbert, you're like rock solid there. You're Mr. Justice Man himself. Okay, so we wanted to work with the formerly homeless, so we had this building in the Tenderloin for formerly homeless, 60 units. I think Scott Barlow helped do the renovations for that building. Anyway, so we went there to clean and steam clean the rooms. Who was part of that? Come on, more than a lot of you, I think, came down there to the Cambridge. We were called Friends of the Cambridge, remember? But I cried one day after our event because I knew this one person. Her name was Mary. She was like 40 years old. She was a prostitute in the neighborhood. And I cried because she seemed so young. But a lot of the homeless have health problems like you won't believe. And today, this morning in the 5 o'clock news, I don't know why I'm watching it, but Oakland was doing something for homeless veterans. It was solid stuff. They had dentists there, eye doctors. They had the police there too to help them get rid of their criminal charges that they may have. See, starting November in San Francisco, if you're sitting on the sidewalk or lying, it becomes a crime. We're criminalizing our sidewalks where we're supposed to be socializing and meeting people. So I think I'm making my point. You all know what to do. I'm not saying exactly, I'm not endorsing publicly anything. I'm just urging you all to look seriously at this issue, put faith in the actions. We should be able to challenge our city leaders and rulers and hang in there. And faith is the assurance of things hoped for, and we hope for justice for our world, and hope especially directed in situations of despair. Power to you, hope in despair. Can I get amen?
Amen.